Wednesday, Thursday and Friday before it's
Oh, yeah, okay. I was only working on doing some work anyway, it's good.
5 in South Australia.
Miles away, Beatrice.
Miracle, not to one.
Sorry.
Kevin, how are you, mate?
I was up your way last Sunday, didn't see you.
Upgrade.
I'm quarterly working.
Thank you, everybody. Please note we have two apologies, being Tom Dennis and Councillor Peter Ryan, Councillor Tom Dennis. I welcome you all to the October meeting of the Narra Court Leesondale Council, where we acknowledge and respect our complex history, and we welcome everyone to build our future together. Please note this meeting is being recorded and published in accordance with the Council's live streaming and recording of public meetings policy. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live stream and recording. Please note item 2, elected members' declaration of interest. Item 3, public forum. We haven't got any public forum this evening, nor petitions or deputations. Item 5 is the confirmation of the minutes of the 23rd of September 25. Would someone like to move they be taken as read and confirmed? Councillor Goodman, I'll take that as a second. Councillor Maguire. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. There are no matters that have been laid on the table from the previous meeting. I submit item 7, my Mayor's report. And as mentioned by Councillor Maguire and suggested in my first paragraph, there's lots of grass, which is all many farmers in our region are very happy with the amount of grass they have, and they're happy to have lots of grass in a month or two's time. So we're very pleased about that. But in the meantime, their financial position hasn't changed a great deal. But with livestock prices, I'm sure it'll be a fill up in the near future. I'm happy to take any questions. Councillor Goodman.
Two questions about your second dot point there with the drainage and wetland strategy. The regulator that's been put in that will allow for the filling of Lake Horden, how often are they anticipating that wetland will get water? And my second question in relation to that is, I note the comments regarding the condition of the bridges in the network and the concern around that. What discussions are being had in relation to those bridges and replacement?
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Firstly, Lake Horden is filled, or Drain L. Drain L feeds into Lake Horden. The catchment, I think it's about 1,500 square kilometres of catchment for Drain L that then feeds into Lake Horden, and the area that is now over capacity, in fact, in Lake Horden North. Drain L continues to flow. It's an unregulated, it has been unregulated, and it flows out to the ocean at Robe. So I do know that Robe residents were concerned about the Drain L outlet, as it's known, when you drive into and that may become inoperable or wouldn't have a flow, but that will continue to have a flow. So Drain L has already filled up over capacity, over 600 hectares of Lake Horden North. The money that came from the Commonwealth as an extension of the Coorong, in fact. So the Coorong is in a bad state, and so the Landscape Board and others, Shorebirds, got this money, over $10 million, to work on Lake Horden North, and it's going to be a really important refuge for birds. Second question is around bridges. And I mentioned in there that all bridges that go over all drainage structures in the southeast are owned by the Drainage Board. So whether that's a road, a council road, and Mr Willsmore could help us out here. Can you give an example, Mr Willsmore? Bridge over a drain.
Mundalina Road, for example.
Mundalina Road, a very small drain, but a good example that was done, which was refurbed just recently. Drain E, think of all the drains, all of those bridges are under the ownership of the Drainage Board. The Drainage Board has an annual budget of about 4.2 million, employs 15 staff, and I'm amazed, and there's about 3,000 kilometres within the drainage network. It's a vast, vast thing, and how they cope, they don't. And in fact, just recently, we had an ask to the state and federal government where we did actually get some millions of dollars for some projects, but not bridges. Bridges are crumbling and around the region, and they will be closed as a bridge in the Bray district has been closed, and it's caused the landholders and the school bus, to do an extra 30 kilometres to get their kids to school, and for farmers to get their product out of their landscape to market. And the state and federal, the state government haven't come to the party, and they must be looking for another funding source. Many years ago, there was an evil set of words called drainage levy, but that hasn't been mentioned to date. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Councillor Rayner.
Well, Drain K runs into Drain L, and that starts at Baker's Range, Bill Stock's place,
Yeah.
and that started in 1914.
Yeah. So in fact, the reason I put that in there, because the drainage network works widely across our landscape, and it's important to know within our district council the importance of drainage to us. Would someone second my report? Councillor Rayner. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 8. Elected members report. Thank you, Councillor Downwood, for your report. Are there any questions of Councillor Downwood? Thank you very much. Item 9, Chief Executive's report. Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a few parts to this report. The first item is in relation to a request we've had from Northern Areas Council, my old stomping ground. So they are seeking support from all regional councils to back them in pushing for a rebate for people doing it tough from drought. I think this council has talked about that in the past, and we have put in place some mechanisms here to deal with help people manage in times of difficulty. Up north, most of you would know they're doing it particularly tough. So what they're proposing is a 40% rebate essentially for primary producers who are badly affected by drought. I think from this council's perspective, we have talked about what our position is. We have talked about the difference between a rebate and delayed deferment of rates. So I think having a high level support for the Northern Areas Council and its endeavours is probably appropriate. The second part of their request is around rating for energy retailers. And this has been a long-standing issue in local government, particularly in the mid-north, and I understand Wattle Range down here as well, in relation to renewable energy providers paying appropriate levels of rates on their land. So I know the LGA has been pushing very strongly on this, and I think just this week put out an update for elected members. I don't know if you've seen that from the LGA, but that talks about the fact that they're still pushing forward on the position that energy suppliers should pay fair and reasonable rates to help with infrastructure management and things like that. So Northern Areas Council has asked for support. My recommendation is that we provide high-level support. We support them in their endeavours without being specific about what we want, because I don't think this council has discussed the renewable energy rates structure at this point in time, not that I'm aware of anyway. So that was the first item. Did you want to discuss that and ask questions on that before we go on?
Councillor Maguire.
Through the chair to the CEO. I did want to speak on that, the rates for the energy infrastructure. Last week, the week before, we had a discussion about what's important in our region and what is our bread and butter, which I think we all unanimously agreed it was our industry, our sheep, cattle and crops. If we go down this road of actually looking for being able to put a rating structure around this infrastructure, my question to you is, can we use it as a deterrent? So can we actually increase the rates enough that it makes it very difficult for solar panel batteries, wind farms to actually be put onto what we see as prime land with underground water and what, as a council, I think we all agreed on needs to be kept for livestock, etc.
Wondering whether Mr McCroskey could enlighten the council about how the process of renewable energy and planning, please.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Yes, we are receiving a number of applications with solar farms or battery energy storage systems. They are assessed in two veins. If they're under 5 megawatts, they're assessed under the PDI Act under council staff as the relevant authority. If they're over 5 megawatts, they're assessed by the Department of Energy and Mining, and the process is obviously addressed and managed by them. There is extensive consultation that both processes undertake because they're not currently envisaged into the zone, but the consultation also and the feedback from that has to align to why they object to those, not because they're unsightly or they're going to detract from the area. So they've got to have good arguments, and most of them have environmental impact statements that accompany them.
That sort of doesn't answer my question, as in, can we increase the rates enough as a deterrent? Yeah.
So through you, Mayor, that's not the intention of this,
I don't understand that.
and each application would need to be assessed on its merits, obviously. So the position of the LGA, the position of the Limestone Coast LGA, the position that has been put forward is to have a fair and equitable rating structure. It's not about stopping development, it's about making sure that if a development happens, having gone through the appropriate planning channels, that if it happens, they're getting charged appropriate rates. So, this is an anomaly back from when electricity was privatised back in the 1990s. It means that essentially, some of these energy companies come in, they do some really good things in the community, they have grants, programs, etc., but they're not paying an appropriate level of rates, and the rest of the ratepayers have to foot that bill for any damage to infrastructure and things like that, irrespective of, infrastructure deeds that may be in place.
Councillor Turner.
I think you've answered the question, but just a point of clarification. So what you're saying is that if we've got currently a piece of land that we're receiving rates from, let's say it's a commercial piece or an agricultural piece of land, someone decides to put a solar farm or some sort of renewable energy on that piece of land, we can't charge them rates. They get a rate free. So it actually then increases the overall rating for the rest of the community to fund the free rates holiday that the energy or renewable energy people receive, and if that's correct, we're advocating for they should be charged a fair and equitable rate, so that the rest of the ratepayers are not funding it. Is that correct? Or
Close enough.
close?
Close enough. Close enough. And I think some of the numbers that we've seen from the LGA is that regional areas are missing out on almost $7 million a year in what they would normally get if that property was rated appropriately. So here at the moment, it's not such a massive issue, but it may become more of an issue as more of these developments occur. I know Wattle Range has some issues, but certainly in the mid-north, it's a big issue. So, Northern Areas Council, a very small ratepayer base, they don't have a lot of money. For them, this could be a game changer. So, they're very supportive of this position, and that's what they're asking is that other regional councils support them in their push as well.
Just another question.
Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I don't believe that any really special interest organisations or groups should be getting any special dispensation. It's not in keeping with the majority view of the ratepayers, I don't believe. And so I completely agree. In fact, I would have liked to have seen that being a little bit more strongly worded, to tell you the truth, just on the face of it, and I don't really know how much these organisations do contribute outside of it, but just on the face of it, I think that they should be paying rates, or everyone should be paying rates in line with maybe their adjoining landholder in a similarly fashioned zoning. Regarding the application being confirmed by way of the council in item 14.2, I was going to just touch on that later on. Is that the time to do that? It's a separate issue. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Turner?
Yes, my other question was around the rate reduction. I just want some clarity around that. I'll start by saying that the Wimmera and some of the drought-affected councils there approached the state government, who had open ears about saying we'd like to have a rate reduction for our farmers who are suffering from drought. We'd like it to be funded by the state, so the state would pay the 40% reduction and the council would then not be impacted on rate reduction. And I spoke about this at the RDA because we get offered programs for drought relief, and they're often packaged up as mental health and consultancy, and millions of dollars are just sort of dispersed. I don't know that it has any real impact. Whereas this is just a direct shot. If I'm paying $100,000 in rates and I get a $40,000 reduction as a primary producer, I can spend that $40,000 within my community, and also my council is not impacted. Is that their intention, that it would be funded by state government rather than council?
So the model they have drawn on for the 40% is the West Wimmera model. So the state is funding that. I think, we have spoken to the LGA about both a rebate or a deferral system, and I think primary producers are in favour of rebates. Mayor might confirm that, but in terms of the LGA's position, it's around deferral of rates. Our view is that deferral of rates means someone's going to have to pay at some point in time, and the notion that people get over drought in a year is kind of still seeing drought as what's, the green grass or whatever. It's not about what's happening around the kitchen table of the farms, which is where the drought is having its real impact. So I think, so I hope that answers your question.
So we're advocating for...
Happy to close.
Councillor Maguire.
Yeah, I'm happy to support the motion. I think it is a good step forward. Personally, I just feel there's just not, this isn't the right area for that type of infrastructure. That's my personal opinion. That's why I asked that question. But, and I know there's a lot of people in the community that feel the same way, but I think that is a step in the right direction.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. There's more to come.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the other matters are quite self-explanatory. There's just the information in the minutes from the Limestone Coast LGA meeting, the letter from the member for McKillop, which was addressing Councillor Grundy's recent motion. In terms of the other meetings and activities, I'd just point out that I had included on here that I attended the aged care information session at Narra Court Town Hall, but unfortunately I was unable to attend that at short notice. So that is my report, and there are some recommendations.
Wonderful. Question, Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Just on the Mr McBride letter, I welcome his letter. I wasn't really seeking an apology. It was more of seeking a correction for the record. But I welcome that letter, and he goes on to stress the importance of Telstra towers or mobile coverage, which we all agree with. The question is, how's it funded? And I still don't believe that it's the job of the Narra Court Lucindale Council ratepayer to fund Telstra infrastructure. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. The recommendations 1, 2, 3 and 4. Question, Councillor Ross.
Not a question, just a statement. Just following on from what Councillor Grundy said, and probably following on to some of the conversations we were just talking about drought and how we're looking for support. What I'm concerned about, if you go back and look at the minutes of what was discussed during some question times, you had the Premier Malinowskis basically pointing out didn't say Narracourt, but made it quite obvious that there was one council that didn't provide any assistance in regards to the project. Understand Telstra were trying to stretch their money out to try to get more infrastructure in place, so they looked for partnerships, but we have been singled out here. So we might have got a win right now, but what impact is that going to have when we're asking for future support? I think it may have an impact. So, but yeah, that clearly says it in the discussion time in Parliament.
Councillor Ross. Councillor Maguire has moved the recommendation in its entirety. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Turner. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. December, January arrangements.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an annual fair where we come to council and talk about office closures, the December council meeting date and whether that can be brought forward a week so it doesn't bump up to Christmas, and also just a little request in there for a few days off. Over to you. Over to
Councillor Turner is happy to move the recommendation. Councillor Rayner, second. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 9.3, strategic plan. Priority actions.
Okay, so this is really just an update for information. It shows all of the priority actions from the strategic plan and how they're progressing. You did get a report from the previous CEO last year. This one's probably a little later than I'd like, but it's there if you have any questions.
A lot of nodding. You know, some things are progressing, some aren't. I'm sure we'll get there. Thank you very much. Item 10, key projects. Mr. Willsmore.
Thank you. Further to the report, just wanted to mention that the trial sheep sale pen has been completed by our contractor, Crockers Engineering, so that was in use today for the first time. So now we're seeking feedback from agents and users of the sale yards facility by mid-December, so we can move forward with the remaining pens. So that was a pretty tight program that the contractor delivered on.
Thank you, Mr. Willsmore. If I may, Mr. Willsmore, I have a question about Pioneer Park and that rotundary thing that's got a fence around it.
I assume your question's why there's a fence around it. So we are demolishing that one. So that was fenced off to be removed 2 weeks ago. The wind picked up and the contractor were using a crane to remove some of that gazebo. So he was delayed on another site. So we're fitting into his program again when he's finished on that backlog. As we all know, there's been a fair bit of wind and rain lately, so we're slipping a bit on that program, but that's been fenced off, ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Willsmore. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Ross. A question to Mr. Willsmore through the chair. I noticed in the combined agents agenda minutes of the previous meeting that there was a reference from a couple of agents that they were concerned about Crocker Engineering, whether they were going to be able to deliver this project on time. Has that been the case? Is there any part of the job that was carried out which would reflect that that is the case, or has it been carried out on time?
No, as mentioned before, they stuck to their program that they wanted. So the combined agents were concerned that the works would roll into November, but the works were completed last week, ready for the sale today.
Excellent. Thank you. Any further questions of Mr. Willsmore? None. Thank you, Mr. Willsmore. Item 11, financial reports. Mrs. Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Nothing further to add. Quarterly information around investments, debtors, creditors. Happy to take any questions.
No questions? Very good. Oh goodness, there we go. 11.2, long-term financial plan and asset management plan.
Thank Thank you. We're now at the final stages, hopefully the adoption of the long-term financial plan and asset management plan 26 to 36. Between last time and now, we've run the community consultation process. I've provided, or Josie collated information around the level of engagement in terms of the number of times the page was visited and documents downloaded, and happy to say there was no feedback regarding the documents. So we've also discussed it with the Audit and Risk Committee. As per the report, they were happy with the plans. Their only suggestion was that perhaps recommend to Council that they consider reducing the forecast rate revenue increase once Council's finances reflect an operating surplus again, all being well in a couple of years' time. So hopefully the recommendations are adopted tonight.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Edmonds, and that must demonstrate a degree of well-being within the community, that there were no questions around the plan, that the administration and now Council are looking to, there's a recommendation in front of them for the draft long-term plan and infrastructure asset management plan to be endorsed. And I'd seek a mover. Councillor Crosling, thank you. A seconder, Councillor Turner. There being no questions, all those in favour? Carried, thank you very much. Item 12, minutes and recommendations from council committees. 12.1, the Regional Livestock Exchange. Recommendation that the minutes of the 24th of September are received and noted. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Grundy. You wish to speak, Councillor Grundy?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just provide a bit of a brief report. Not a lot came out of that most recent meeting, but I think at the last meeting the roofs on the Sheep ID infrastructure had not been installed. Maybe wrong, but they've been installed now. The Trail Sheepyard pen upgrade has been installed and ready for testing, as Mr. Willsmore's just alluded to, and that had its first go today. Livestock throughput has been slightly inconsistent with the previous years, which is a reflection of the seasonal variations as much as anything. So apart from that, it was all business as usual. So I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. A seconder, please. Councillor Downwood. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. There's a recommendation that the Naracoorte Regional Livestock Exchange Financial Report 16 September 25 is noted and referred to the Audit and Risk Committee for consideration. Councillor Grundy. A seconder, please. Councillor Turner. All those in favour? 12.2, Audit and Risk Committee. A recommendation that the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee held on the 15th of October 25 are received and noted. A mover. Councillor Ross. Councillor Turner, second. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. And I also have a recommendation that the Council notes that the Audit and Risk Committee recommend to Council that the draft 2026-36 long-term financial plan and infrastructure and asset management plan are endorsed. Councillor Ross moved. Councillor Turner second. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 13, reports for decision. Resolution register. Mrs. Collins.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. And nothing further from me really, as you can all see from the attachment, everything's ticking along quite nicely. But if any of you require any further updates, just reach out to any of the responsible officers at any time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you've all perused the register. Would someone like to move to that effect? Councillor Goodman. A seconder, please. Councillor Crosling. Any questions? Being none, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 13.2, Community Chest. Mrs. Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. So yes, we find ourselves in round one of the annual community chest process. We had 12 applicants. Of that, we are recommending 10 of the 12. The 2 that we didn't recommend, one of the projects is actually well underway, so it doesn't meet the guidelines of the community chest application. The second one is taken care of via the AED installations in the clubs that Mr McCrosty is taking care of as per legislative requirements. So happy to take any questions regarding any of the applications, or all being well, we adopt 20,575 in support. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs Edmonds. And who's part of your committee that makes the decisions, Mrs Edmonds?
Thank you. Yes, so our process is corporate services collate all of the applications. We then distribute it amongst all of the executive leadership, so all of the staff sitting in the room. We individually comment on applications or declare conflicts of interest if we're members of the clubs or associations, and come back with a majority feel, or if someone's picked up something that makes it ineligible based on that. So.
Thank you very much, Mrs Edmonds. That's for the benefit of those people out there getting an understanding of the process that's actually taken. So thank you very much. And it's now brought to council for endorsement, and I seek a mover, Councillor Goodman, and I have a seconder in Councillor Downwood. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Thanks very much. Item 13.3, Pam Knight Christmas Market.
And again.
Mrs Edmonds.
Last one. All right. So my last report for the night. So Pam Knight is looking to hold her Christmas market again this year on Saturday the 20th of December. This time around it's slightly different. She's requesting the closure of Jones Street as she'd like to use both squares. Currently the approximate number of stall holders that are going to be attending is 35, so we're well in excess of the $50 minimum charge that we would propose. Similar to last year, we're looking at a $5 per head charge. I do believe she's donating the remainder of the funds based on what she's charging the stall holders. Happy to the road closure expenditure, we're looking at approximately $500 in cost. We have to use accredited ops staff to do the road closure, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mrs Edmonds. Councillor Goodman.
Question, if I may.
Absolutely.
My question is just in regard to the insurance cover for the markets. Is the insurance that we require an overall insurance to cover all of the market holders, or are they individually required to have insurance?
So thank you for the question. We only look for Pam Knight's insurance cover. She then, I believe, organises individual insurance checks with each of the stall holders. So from her perspective, she's the individual applicant to run the fair. We also receive food business notification numbers from her if they're selling produce or food, and we require all that documentation prior to issuing that permit. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Crosling's move. Seconded Councillor Downwood. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. It was a huge success last year, so hopefully it's once again a great success. 13.4, Naracoorte CBD Rejuvenation 90% design. Mr Willsmore.
Thank you. This is just to summarise our briefing session held October 14, so the 90% design of the CBD Rejuve project. We're seeking Council's endorsement of the design to allow us to submit the required sections to DIT for their approval to enable us to fully complete the design to 100%. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Grundy.
Thanks, Mayor Ross. It may have been answered and I've overlooked it, but there's a reference here to 90% for the design. There's obviously a 10%. What does that 10% comprise, is my question.
We call it 90% because we still need to submit it to DIT, so there's still a bit of a design element change. So submission process to complete the DIT submission, they have a number of gates that we need to submit design requirements to. So that's just the remaining 10%.
Well, while you're on your feet, with your experience with DIT, how long do you think the process will take once we've submitted it to the department, Mr. Willsmore?
So that's a difficult question to answer. However, we have been engaging them along the way, so they do know, they've seen various concept plans, so they do know what we're looking at, and they have worked with us in a couple of these different sections that we need to submit. So it's not the full design, it's only where we interact with DIT's care and control. So in this situation, it's Degaris Place. We're not doing works that encroach on the area of Smith Street, so it's just the Degaris Place intersection treatment. So I would hope that it should be a lot more smoother than, say, Boddington's West, which was our previous experience with them that took a couple of years. So I'd be hoping that this one would be taking 6 to 8 weeks.
By Christmas?
We'll see.
Incredibly optimistic, I would have thought, but well, good work. I look forward to that. We seek a mover. Councillor Crosling, thank you. And seconder, Councillor Ross. If there's no further questions, I put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. 13.5, the annual report. Mrs. Collins.
Thank you, Mayor Ross, again.
And I'll just say, Mrs. Collins,
What's that?
it's a spectacular.
Oh, well, thank
There's
you.
been a lot of spectacular in the last week or two, so maybe I'll withdraw the spectacular and just say it's very colourful and very well presented. I thought
Thank
it.
you. And I can't take all the credit for that, but I'll get to that in just a little
Okay.
bit. As mentioned in my report, this is a comprehensive legislative document that is produced annually. It's also mentioned, and you would have noticed, that our council's audited financial statements for last financial year and the annual report from council's audit and risk committee are not included as attachments yet because they're yet to go to council. We will include those as attachments after they have been presented and endorsed by council, which will probably happen in November. And then we will send off the entire annual report and all the attachments before the end of the year, by the 31st of December. It's the same process we've followed in the past, but it's just so that you've got time to look over the crux of the report now and then look over the financials later. But in a nutshell, yeah, I commend this report to you and also acknowledge the efforts of everyone involved in bringing this key document together. All the management team have obviously been involved, and I'd also like to acknowledge our Community Engagement Officer, Yana Jericho. She's done an amazing job with this yet again. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. Would someone like to move? Thank you, Councillor Maguire and Councillor Crosling. Second. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 13.6, Disability Inclusion Action Plan 25-29. Mr. McCrosty.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. The state government have recently endorsed their Disability Access Inclusion Plan, and as the requirements of council and key stakeholders, we're now obligated to update our plan. So it's a 5-year plan. We do still currently have a Disability Access Inclusion Plan in our system, and it's on our council webpage at the moment. Council staff have worked towards amalgamating those current projects from that plan into the new plan. There's 8 key strategic areas that the Disability Access Plan covers. Not all are directly related to council. We have put in our steps and our projects and what council provide to the community, and therefore hopefully the elected member body today can endorse that so we can take it out to the public for further consultation to bring back to council at a later stage.
Thank you, Mr. McCrosty. Any questions? I seek a mover that we endorse the draft Disability Inclusion Access Plan. Councillor Goodman. A seconder, Councillor Crosling. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. 13.7. Mr. McCrosty.
Thank you again. The owners of 38 McDonald Street have recently undertaken a land division on their parcel of land in which they've identified, as per the report, that a large section towards the creek is part of the Narracrook Creek Walk. The owners of the property have kindly offered to donate that parcel of land to council to ensure and safeguard the land from being, the creek walk from being lost at the cost of council's expense. And I think it's probably a common sense approach to ensure that we keep the creek walk into the future.
Mr. McCroskey, if I may, on the title, there's a section, part of that section is reserve, which means that can't be built on. Is that part of the flood area or what does that? And does the footpath go through the reserve?
Correct. So that parcel of land that the owners of the property are donating will be amalgamated to that reserve, and that reserve is part of the creek walk that flows through onto the other side of the creek, which is part of our land as well.
Any questions of Mr. McCroskey? There being none, I'd seek a mover. Councillor Turner. Seconder, Councillor Maguire. No further questions. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. 14.1. No, Mr. Steed.
No,
Mr.
I'll
Willsmore.
take his place. Just to, for members' benefits, we had the Narracrook free hard waste disposal day last weekend. We had 495 users on Saturday. So Envirotech and the Narracrook Football Club had a fair bit of work to do on that day, with the Lucindale Day still to come, but certainly shows there's a lot of support from the community, or need from the community, for these hard waste disposals days. So we'll give you a finalised report once Lucindale's finished and the amount of users, but just wanted to give you an update based on information Envirotech provided me recently.
Thank you, Mr. Willsmore. Any questions around operations? The lake, Mr. Willsmore, what's our anticipated start date for the lake?
Last week in November, so we've got the Task Force 72, the model boat show.
Okay.
So the water, we'll start pumping the water in mid next month, and then treating that ready for Task Force 72, and then some of the schools have got some...
ready to swimming the last week of November?
Yep, correct. So there's some school programs we'll open to the public, so hopefully it warms up a bit more by then.
Thank you, Mr. Willsmore. 14.2, planning.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Just an update to my report. I couldn't write it at the point when the report was written, as the fire danger season has been announced for the 1st of November till the 30th of April. That was the decision of the BMC, and it's also a decision of the BMC to formalise it for a consistent approach, so year in, year out, to formalise those dates from the 1st of November through the 30th of April. That still allows us provisions, Council's Authorised Office and Fire Prevention Office, to issue permits after the 1st of November. We've already received a number of requests for fires over the next couple of weeks, and in which our fire prevention officers will continue to monitor leading into the summer season to a point we deem that it's unfit to open in the fire season.
Thank you, Mr. McCrosty. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. If I can go back to my point, 2 points. Firstly, on the fire season, I think it's ridiculous to have a fire season starting off on the 1st of November, particularly given this season. It's been a late break, it'll be a late finish to the season. And to be perfectly frank, the 1st of December would have been adequate this year. But that's my view on that. But in the meantime, regarding the application process, I note in tonight's agenda there's a reference to the renewable energy application, which has been confirmed or succeeded out the Lucindale Road. There's some confusion, I think, maybe amongst councillors, myself included, and possibly the public, and that is that we believe that renewable energy type projects were exempt from local government development plans, which may not be the case, and Mr. McCrosty's already partially answered that, I think. So possibly do we need to clarify for the benefit of the public just what are what are the criteria for us being involved as a council and us not being involved, and that might be the 5 megawatts. But previously, when people brought these concerns to me as a councillor, I said, well, you know, we have nothing to do with this. It's been removed from our jurisdiction, which is possibly not the case. So maybe that needs to be clarified going forward for the benefit of the public as much as anything.
Mr McCroskey, I'm sure you've got the answer.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Agree, Councillor Grundy, if you don't play in that space regularly, it's a bit foreign. I'm more than happy, and the rest of my staff are happy to address any of those concerns, and if they have issues raised, we can direct them into the right direction for the assessment of those applications. Agree, some are dealt with council, some are dealt with the state government agencies, and it's not always clear. So I'm happy to provide direction to those people if they have any concerns.
So just for clarification, Mr McCroskey, when you say council, that means that residents and ratepayers can come to the administration and seek more information. But council doesn't actually, the point being, council, this chamber, doesn't actually make decisions around it. I think that's the important point.
I think they do.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Yeah, so the systems that are lodged with under 5 megawatts are assessed by council planning staff, so the staff within council here. When they're over 5 megawatts, they're dealt with by other key stake agency with Department of Energy and Mining. We do liaise with them quite regularly, and they're in contact with us in regards to ask us about our localised issues that they may not consider a part of the application, whether it's access to roads or reflective glares and those kind of assets. So we're happy to deal with the general public because we generally have a bit of an understanding of where the application's at if it's being dealt with by the department.
And it will come to the council and council will endorse it.
No.
Exactly.
No. So can I maybe just add? So changes to planning legislation actually took the power from the chamber to make decisions on planning matters. So planning matters are dealt with by your regional assessment panel here, or your assessment manager, or someone with planning qualifications. And there was a lot of reasons the legislation changed to that end. What council can do, and we'll have a report in November's council agenda about a larger project, what the council can have a say in is if it has concerns about a project and its impact on the community. So you have to kind of address the planning matters, you have to address these projects from a planning perspective. But for instance, you as a council could say, we're aware that some of the residents on this road are really concerned that, you know, prevailing northern wind will impact them or something to that end. And you can make those comments to us as administration and we share that with the relevant planning authority. But council chambers no longer have the authority to make decisions on those planning matters. Is that correct, Paul?
Correct.
Okay.
Councillor Turner.
May I ask a question to Mr McCroskey just for a visualisation? What footprint does a 5 megawatt look like? So we have an idea of, are we talking the swimming lake, or are we talking a multi-hectare farm, or do you have an idea so that just say it's solar panels. How many, what does 5 megawatts of solar panels take up in space on the ground, do you know?
Councillor Cerner, not off the top of my head, I guess it's subject to the size of the solar panels. The battery storage system that's currently with the department at the moment, they're effectively what they look like is a shipping container, and there's a number of those. There's stringent requirements about the locality, and they've got to be in a neat and orderly fashion. There is one that's currently out for consultation at the moment. I'm happy to provide that link, and that's given some elevations and some diagrams of what the actual system looks like, but I couldn't give you an exact measurement of how far and how big this actual system is.
So just to clarify, how many megawatts is in a container of battery? You don't know?
No, not off the top. No, sorry.
So in fact, it may be beneficial, Mr McCroskey, if we at some point understood how many football ovals a 5 megawatt solar array would take up for the public for the future. Thank you, Mr McCroskey. For 14.3, Mrs Collins.
Thank you again, Mayor Ross. Nothing really further from me apart from an update on Remembrance Day. Obviously, my report mentions that Council will again hold the Narracourt service here at the War Memorial at 10:30. Love to see as many of you there as possible. It's a very short service, generally goes for under half an hour. We've also had confirmation this week that the Lucindale RSL sub-branch will hold their service at the War Memorial at the same time, 10:30, with tea and coffee afterwards. I believe, Mayor Ross, you are laying the wreath at the Narracourt service, and Deputy Mayor Councillor Goodman is laying the wreath at the Lucindale service. So that's all sorted. We were talking, this is a little point of interest, we were talking about the opening of the swimming lake earlier. We had a social media post go up on Sunday night, which has gone off in a nutshell, for want of a better expression. People love the Narracourt Swimming Lake. So within 24 hours, that one post had more than 30,000 views, which is absolutely mind-blowing and just shows how much, not just our council area, but people from throughout the region, the state, and even interstate just love our swimming lake. So exciting times ahead again.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. Councillor Crosland.
I just wanted to mention and thank our wonderful library staff yet again. We just finished school holidays for those who don't have young kids in the school system. 2 weeks of non-stop activities at the library. There was something every day that was pretty much booked out for every single event. That on top of cinema, like movies and things on there. They just did a fantastic job. Children's University events. So I just want to thank our amazing staff that we have there. And also their new community conversations that they've been having, I think is a huge hit. Obviously in the report there it states they had one concerning wills and so forth with James Norcock. They had 150 people attend. That was the second one, or is it both combined? So they're really popular and I just think they're doing a great job. I just wanted to thank them because especially in school holidays when you've got 3 kids home, to be able to have an activity to take your kids to every day, especially when the weather's not great, is fabulous. So thank you to the library staff.
Thank you, Councillor Crosland. Councillor Goodman.
Yeah, I also just wanted to make a few comments about activities that have been on recently. First is a shout out to the show committee for the Narracourt show. Really fabulous event, and I love how every year it changes and grows, and I think that bringing back some of the livestock has also been really wonderful, and it was great to see local schools get behind that. I also wanted to mention that I attended the Southeast Music Festival performance in Mount Gambier on Wednesday last week. It was my first time attending that, and I was really blown away by the professionalism and the enthusiasm of the students and the dedication of the staff that bring that to schools from around the region. I think the night I attended we had Sunrise Francis maybe and one of the Narracourt primary schools go, so it was lovely to see those kids have that opportunity. And just following on from Councillor Crosling's comments, I think there's another community conversation happening tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the library, and that's around what we need to do to look after our oceans, and I think the representative from Ozfish is going to be presenting that, so if anyone's available, 10 a.m. tomorrow at the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman.
Ross.
Councillor Turner.
If I may, forgive me.
You may.
I know it causes conflict of interest. Just a plug that Mini Jumbuck is celebrating its 50 years this year, and our retail staff have collaborated with all the schools to decorate these little sheep, and there's hundreds of them lined up in the shop, and the community's reached out to us to bring back the Mini Jumbuck, and they're a large wooden sheep that the men's shed have made as a frame, and there's some brilliant decorated sheep. So if the community and others want to wander in through Mini Jumbuck in the coming days and weeks, you'll see the display of this, and then it will eventually be at the art gallery. But I was really humbled by what the community gave back. So it was that is a bit of a community event plug.
Definitely, and we've also promoted that on our socials.
Yeah, thanks.
I think, Councillor Turner, you're allowed that moment. Mini Jumbuck is as much Narracourt as the caves and the swimming lake, I believe. Being no further commentary, thank you, Mrs. Collins. Item 15, publications, documents, information from other bodies. There being none. Item 16 is questions with notice. There was a question from Councillor Maguire, which has a response. Thank you very much. You may
make a statement.
Yes, of course you can make a statement.
Thank you for the figures, Kelly. I know I'm a lone sailor on this one, but I'm going to bring it up again. I know the intentions are good to have meetings at Lucindale and Francis. I think the Lucindale meeting went for about 20 minutes and Francis was under an hour. We've spent $70,000 on a live streaming system, which we're getting thousands and thousands of views. Whether it's 20 minutes or 2 hours, it costs the ratepayers $500 to get the live streaming from these two locations, so it's an extra $1,000. I know it's a small fish, but I think if you spoke to most people in the community, $1,000 is $1,000. We've invested in this great equipment. I just don't think the meetings should be out there.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. 16.2, we have a question from Councillor Dennis, which has been responded to. Item 17, motions with notice. There being none. Item 18, questions without notice. Haven't received any, thankfully. Item 19, motions without notice. And 20, item 20, matters the CEO recommends to be considered in confidence. And item 20.1 is such an item. Would someone move that item 20.1 is considered in confidence? Councillor Goodman and Councillor Turner, thank you very much. There ends the meeting for them. It's all done.